Head work, gas pump, anxiety, panic attacks. So learned optimism has been really a beneficial CD for me. It's made a huge change in my life over the last 4 years since I was about 46, 56, 55. Had a couple anxiety, a lot. I found out and I figured out that I just wasn't wired. I had dealt with anxiety a lot. Now I guess you can call it anxiety, fear, worry, whatever you want to call it. But I was stressed out a lot during my life. Came from a family where my grandma was stressed out, my uncles were stressed out, my dad was stressed out. I learned that, and I learned that that's kind of how you cope with life, is in a stressful way. Well, anyway, about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I had a couple panic attacks, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was going to die. Anyway, I went to the doctor and says, the doctor says you're fine. This is a good friend of mine, and so I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Well, I don't feel fine. I think I'm going to die. He goes, no, you're not. You're good. So my wife says, maybe you are just having a panic attack. I'm like, okay, maybe I am just having a panic attack. And I was. I had 2.5 panic attacks, and they were hell. And the anxiety that I got from them was hell. The anxiety that built up or was always ever present was hell, was very difficult. So what I learned was, it was like this. Anxiety, if you have a glass and it has space in it, you're gonna have some anxiety and some, you know, irritants during the day and during life. But sometimes as we push and we hold on to some of these irritants, whether it's lack of forgiveness, and I think that's a big part of it, lack of forgiveness, worry, lack of faith and hope. Anyway, sometimes that level of anxiety builds up, and as it overflows and spews out, it's a panic attack. So the way I like to explain it is, in learned optimism, I do what I call head work. I understand that there's going to be some level of uncomfortableness, of anxiety. I rate. Now I rate my anxiety level. I might be agitated to about a 1 or a 2 level. Sometimes I'm up to a 6 or a 7 or 8 or a 9 or a 10. But here's what it's like. Anxiety, if you think thoughts that no one else can hear, and those thoughts affect your emotions so much, it's very similar to going to a gas station, driving into a gas station, putting the pump in and going, okay, the automatic shut-off valve will turn off. I got to go in and use the restroom and buy a Coke, or I got to buy a Sprite or a root beer or something, or a Twinkie, or buy a hot dog. And then as I go in to go to the restroom and buy some food, get it ready for my trip, I come back out and the lever didn't stop filling up the gas. And gas filled up the tank, filled up the tank, filled up the tank, and now it's just spewing and blowing out all over. Don't get a match by that, or you could die, right? So in my opinion, panic attacks, first of all, what we think causes us stress, worry. What if ourselves too much? That level of anxiety can build. It can build and it can ebb and it can flow. But if we can keep it down to a minimum, like around, a 0 would be preferred, but let's just say we keep it around a 1 or a 2, that's okay. But as you get up there further and further, if the anxiety gets so much, so if my thoughts that I'm thinking are so irrational that my anxiety raises up and it causes an emotional effect, what I'm thinking causes an emotional effect that all of a sudden it spews out like the gas when the automatic valve didn't shut off. That's called a panic attack. And that sucks. So the key is to use calming, clear, calm words and language inside your mind so that you don't worry yourself to death. Or what if yourself to death? Worry yourself to death? What if yourself to death? So the words we say to our minds, the things we think when no one else can hear, cause an effect to our emotions and our behavior. I may not explain this exactly right, but if we can keep the anxiety at a low and manage it with facts and real proper rational thinking, then we'll be a lot more calm. and we can handle life a lot better. There are those who go through life very calm. They've learned how to do that, or they were in a family that did that. I wasn't in a family that did that. I've had to learn. But I can do hard things, and I can act upon good thoughts, and I can control my thoughts. I may not be able to control others people's thoughts, but I can control my thoughts. And the more I rationally keep my thoughts calm and rational, the less my anxiety is going to build up. That doesn't mean I'm not real. If there's a fire in the house, I need to get out of the house with my kids. But if it's just a little candle burning on the candlestick, it's not a fire in the house, and I don't need to freak out. Okay? Don't what if yourself to death. Think calm, rational, factually, if I'm saying that right. Matter of fact, be wise in how you think so you don't have a lot of anxiety, which causes panic attacks. And once again on that, I really highly recommend the CD Learned Optimism.